My new comic, Thunderhead, is on Kickstarter right now. Go check it out and enjoy the episode. Thanks. So, back again. Continuing to think about single issues, monthly comics. I had talked about recap pages, how I think that those are important. Now what I'm going to talk about is the back matter of individual issues. I think that's kind of one of the most important ways to sell these comic books, to give readers something that they're not getting anywhere else, a unique experience, you know. The issue itself, the comic book itself, that will all be reproduced in another format, whether it be digital or as a trade paperback or hardcover or whatever. All that stuff, the story itself is going to get reproduced, of course. So, you know, there's not much you can do there. You could do some experimental things, or hopefully not some huckstery things where you don't include all the story and you only include it in the trade paperback. That obviously would be a terrible idea. But, you know, the story itself is going to make its way into the trade paperback. So I think the question becomes more about what else can you put in the series that maybe makes the single issues unique, makes it its own, as I was saying, makes it its own experience, separate from the trade paperback. You get something from the trade paperback. That would be my ideal, is that you get something from the trade paperback, you get something from the printed single issues, and you get something from the digital single issues. And they would each have kind of their own unique strength. It's something I think about a lot. Because of how busy I am, I find it kind of hard to implement all these ideas. One day, you know, if I have enough time, or if Kaya gets done, and then, you know, the next project that I take on, I think I'll take a little bit more time for myself to do the project and get everything kind of lined up so that it'll be even closer to these ideas. I'll have the time to kind of implement some of these ideas that I have for single issues and everything else, you know, digital stuff, online, etc., that I find a little bit difficult to get around to when I'm on that monthly deadline grind, you know. But one thing, that the way that Kaya is set up is there's 5 issues, and that is the main story that gets collected into the trade paperback. And then in between story arcs or seasons or whatever you want to call them, I have a special kind of in-between issue. It's a standalone issue where this helps me. One of the reasons I do it is it helps me with deadlines. It just helps me kind of keep up on my deadlines, because at the end of the arc, there is 1 month where there's no new issue of Kaya. That's usually when the trade paperback comes out. Recently that's been pushed a little bit further along, but there's a dead month where there's no new Kaya stuff. And I'm still working that whole time, trying to catch up on my deadlines. And then the next issue, like I was saying, is a standalone. I just call it in my sketchbook the in-betweener issue. And that's a 15-page short story that is used as kind of a prologue at the beginning of each trade paperback. It kind of starts you off on the next season or story arc of the story. 15 pages up front, I write and draw that, and there's fan art and letters and whatever else I feel like putting in there. And there's a 5-page story that I get a different artist to draw that. And that kind of helps me, like I said, helps me with my deadlines, helps me kind of keep up with the schedule. And I've noticed that those issues always do, you know, when I see the amount of sales for each issue, those issues, there's always a slight uptick in the amount of people that buy those issues. Even if it's like issue number, you know, 28 or whatever, right? After the series has been going for quite a while now, there's like, at first I wasn't sure if it was a real pattern, but I've seen the numbers over the course of the first, you know, 5 seasons, 5 trade paperbacks, and every time there's a new one of those in-between issues, there's a slight uptick. And I'm pretty sure it must be because of the extra stuff that I put in those issues. The 15-page story at the front that I write and draw, that gets put into the trade paperback. But the 5-page story, the fan art, the notes, the letters that I write, the kind of essays, whatever it may be, none of that gets collected. To me, that's kind of like a special thing that I can do for the single issues, for the people that are buying the single issues. And so I just keep that in there, and I don't put any of that stuff in the collection to make those issues special. So I think that's part of it. You know, people show up for stuff that they know they're not going to be able to get anywhere else. I would do the same. There's, I remember, big fan of, I mentioned this in a different video, but I'll mention it again. Big fan of Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips and everything that they do. I have all of the trade paperback collections, but I also, you know, when they would be coming out, I would get the single issues too, because there would always be these backup features about, you know, crime fiction and stuff that I thought was really fascinating, and I knew would not be collected, and I knew, you know, if I wanted to read that stuff, I had to get the single issues. So it works that same way. So much so that I think going forward, I'm wrapping up the 5th story arc of Kaya. And I think for issue, you know, the plan is to do 8 story arcs total, 8 books. So there's story arc number 6, 7, 8 to go through now. And I think starting with story arc number 6, I'm going to make that feature that I used to have in the single issues, I'm going to make, just bring that into every issue, because I think it's a lot of fun. I think if I get the word out enough through, you know, videos like this and other things, people will come and check that out. And it took me a while. I was like, well, what, you know, when I made that decision, I said, well, what are you going to put in there? Are you going to put a new comic that you know, your next comic book project? And I thought, well, I can't do that. That's too labor intensive. I don't have the bandwidth to be writing and drawing another comic book, even if it's just in tiny little snippets that I would put into Kaya. And also, like, there's no guarantee. I like to kind of test drive these ideas before I know if they have enough worth to really focus on. So I don't want to start something that I kind of peter out on a few pages in, because I realize it's not actually as I don't know, as fulfilling or as entertaining as I thought it would be. I'm not sure what the right word to use there. You know what I mean, though, if it's just not, if I'm not feeling it. So there's this other thing that I've been wanting to do for years and years and years. I think I'll just kind of keep that to myself, keep that as like a little secret to myself. And you can check out issue number 33 of Kaya. That's where the new, you know, the 6th season of Kaya starts in issue number 33. So if you want to see what that is, go check out that issue. I've got a special new feature that, again, will not be part of the collections. It's something completely different. And it's something I've been wanting to do for a long time. I think it's going to add a lot of, I think it's going to be pretty cool. Like, I'm really, really excited, actually, because I've been kind of like this, it's something similar to these videos in a way, where I'm talking about the language of comic books and just giving examples of things. I'm going to end up spoiling it here because I get excited about these things and I just want to talk about them. But yeah, you can, it's talking about the language of comic books, basically. You can check out the issue to see the exactly how that comes about, how I do that. And it'll be in every issue going forward until the series is over. Always a new feature, always just a special kind of treat for the people who get the single issues. And that all comes out from my looking at other things, other comic books, other single issues, and seeing what I really enjoyed about those things. So I think that, don't take that for granted. It's something that you really have to figure out if you want to do it for your own comic. I think it can be very useful. Find something fun, find something that doesn't take you too much time, because again, at the end of the day, I'm repeating myself from this other video, but at the end of the day, you do have to actually finish the comic is what's important. Doing the comic book, meeting your deadlines, getting it out there, and so that comic shops know that you're a reliable creator. I think that's pretty important, especially when you don't have some huge name recognition, like you're not like a superstar of comic books. You need to let comic shops know that you're reliable, and when you say you're going to be there on time, you're going to be there on time. But there is always something else. There's always small little bits. It can be just, take photographs of your daily life, and post some of the fun ones there. Or, it can be anything. It can be diary entries. It can be, if you on the road to creating your work, if you keep a good record of the creative process that I wish I had done that with kayaks. I've got so much stuff. It took me a long time to kind of build up this world, and a lot of trying to think of those things. I'm trying to remember how that happened. I wish I had kept a better, more of a kind of creative record of the creation of this character and this world. You can put stuff like that. You can put, you know, what I've done a few times, a little bit of advice for new creators on comic books. You know, whatever you want. Something that's relatively easy, and I think something that is most importantly just fun for the audience to check out. And yeah, think that would go a long way to making single issues more appealing. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm wondering if you have thoughts on that kind of stuff. Let me know, because I'd really love to just share ideas on how we can improve single issues, and I'd like to hear from any and all people to see what their thoughts are, and hopefully if they're good enough ideas, I will totally steal them. So just, you know, be careful. That's a joke. Anyway, talk to you next time. Thunderhead, Superheroes on Acid. That's all you really need to know about it. It's me and Kevin Castanero making some comic book magic, and it is on Kickstarter starting in at the end of July and going all the way through August. So we've got just amazing art, some amazing covers from my buds at Lethal Comic Books, Carl Kerschel, Andy Belanger. I'm doing a cover, Kevin's doing a cover. I am doing flashback. I'm writing the series and doing some flashback stuff. Kevin is doing the bulk of the amazing artwork that you got to check out. With every issue, like with every issue, there will be, what do we got? We got a free sketchbook, we got a free poster, free stickers, along with the actual oversized comic book that you'll get. So yeah, on Kickstarter, check it out. Thanks for listening.